typically divide the field of finance into two main areas. So one being investments and the second being corporate finance. So when we think about investments, that's also what we would call the buy side of the industry. So we're thinking about people who would be asset managers or portfolio managers, people who are buying securities, often on behalf of other people to manage their money for them and so forth, right? So in addition to portfolio managers and asset managers, jobs in that field would be hedge funds or trading and those types of areas. Then on the corporate finance side, we'd call that the sell side. That's typically those jobs are coming from within corporations. Those are people working in corporations, for example. They have projects, they need to finance those projects, so they're going to issue some bonds to finance the project, or they're going to sell some stock to finance the project. And there you can think about jobs like being an investment banker who works closely with the corporate finance managers within a company. You think about working in securities issuance like IPOs and seasoned equity offerings, mergers and acquisitions, and those types of jobs. So those are the two kind of broad areas that we think of within the field of finance. And then we also think about there being an area called what we would call intermediation. So that would be people who bring together these different groups of people. So for example, bankers would be intermediators in the financial markets, and so commercial banking would be another main area that we'd look at in finance. When I think about what we've done with the finance track, we've sort of taken this idea of the different careers that people can go into. We think about the buy side, the sell side, and intermediation, and we've designed courses around those. And there's traditionally been courses like that in the finance area, but one thing that we've done is we've added a lot of applied work in this. So we've added some specific empirical training into the program to make sure that students are well versed and able to do work in Bloomberg, Excel training, and able to handle databases. So we have a lot of resources available in the library. And actually we have a newly developed investment analysis center that's funded by one of the local asset managers here in town, Wayne Deans. And so with that investment analysis center, what we've kind of imagined is that some of our courses would be built around this idea of taking and applying ideas from the earlier theoretical work in the courses and taking and, for example, analyzing a company or thinking about analyzing securities. So the Investment Analysis Center is set up so that we can have pods of students working on different kinds of projects. So for example, a group thinking about corporate bonds, another group thinking about equity investments, another group thinking about international investments and global macro strategies, another group who might be thinking about risk arbitrage, for example, merger arbitrage type of trades. And then we'd want to think about how you put that together in a portfolio if we're thinking from the investment side. So we'd think about how do we put these teams of people together and how do we get them to think about how to put a portfolio together. So that would be a typical type of project that we'd think about having as a project and investments course. Right? Then on the corporate finance side, we have courses like a mergers and acquisitions course where the key goal at the end of the course would be to deliver a proposal or a pitch for a mergers and acquisitions transaction. And so in those types of courses, we bring in investment bankers to talk to students and talk to them about how you put together a pitch, and the students at the end of the course are able to do that. They're able to put together their own pitch for an original idea, not something that they've seen in the news or something that's actually happened, but an idea about if this was your client, what would you pitch to them as being a transaction that they might want to be involved in, and how would you go through the analysis and how would you present it to the client and so forth. We've traditionally had many strong students is people who want to get into the finance industry in Vancouver or Western Canada. And so the finance industry here would consist of, for example, corporate finance. Many of the big corporations here would be in the natural resources industries, in mining, exploration, forestry, shipping, so forth. And then there's investment banking here in town that's built around that. And then on the asset management side, we have pension fund managers in town, asset managers in town, and those businesses have been growing well, and we've been able to place students there. But another area that we're really looking for students, and we're really interested in recruiting, is students who want to come to UBC and who would like to spend a couple years here, but then are open-minded about where they'd like to spend their career after that. Some of the best jobs that we have access to would be in Bay Street or Wall Street, and there's many companies who are on campus and will recruit here, and we'd like to have students who come here who are willing to go and take jobs in those places, whether it's for the long run or whether it's for the short run to gain some experience, and maybe they'd like to then come back to Vancouver or some other part of the world. But those types of people, the people who are sort of looking globally and want to come and spend time here, but then want to go out and into the world, those types of people we think would be a very good fit here. When you think about the global economy and you think about the opportunities that you have coming out of many different business schools, we're uniquely positioned here, being in Canada, which is a pretty strong, growing economy. Western Canada in particular doing well, but then also Vancouver having connections and ties to many places in the world. This is a place where you can see the global economy happening in many directions, connections to Europe, to Asia, to North America, and students who come here have opportunities to really think about where the world is going, and it puts them in a unique position in terms of being able to think about not just, how things are being done on Bay Street or Wall Street right now, but to see how finance is happening in different places around the world, and to think about changing the way finance might happen, and to think about how you could take some of the ideas that you see from different places and putting them together in unique ways and creating new businesses that are based on finance principles, but maybe using them in different ways.